$50 per ton, which is going to put considerable squeeze on our dairy farmers. Hay has not gone up as much. We've seen hay prices that have been fairly stable for about the last 6 or 8 months, but now we're beginning to see hay prices increase fairly rapidly, largely because so much area is being planted to corn and soybeans that it's got to come from somewhere, and it's being taken out of hay fields in many cases. The United States Department of Agriculture calculates for each state the feed cost per kilogram of milk. Of course, they use hundredweight of milk, but we'll use kilograms today to make things a little simpler. And I made a comparison between March of 06 and March of 08 across several states, the top 10 dairy states. And one thing that's dramatic is that the variability across states has become more dramatic. For example, in March of 06, the range in cost per kilogram of feed for dairy operations was between about 15 cents per kilogram and about 20 cents per kilogram. In March 08, that range was between 18 cents and about 30 cents per kilogram. The increase between that, over that 2-year period was 7 cents per kilogram, a 38% increase. The distinction among the states is largely being determined by whether you buy the feeds or whether you grow them on the farm. For example, in California, the increase over that 2-year period was 40%. In the case of Wisconsin, it was only 13%. California is characterized by a state that purchases almost all of its dairy feed. In Wisconsin, a good part of that feed is grown. But how long is that going to last? We all know the general concept of opportunity cost, and as prices for feeds continue to increase, the dairy farmer has to make a decision as to whether to grow that feed for the dairy operation or grow that corn or soybeans for the marketplace. Just a very quick scan as to what's going on the retail side. We've seen a 21% increase in fluid milk prices over the last year, but fortunately only about a 2% decline in consumption of fluid or liquid milk. Cheddar cheese is up 15% again over the last year, with consumption up 1.6%. Some of that is greater exports, but encouraging signs that we haven't seen a dip in consumption of cheese. Butter, 12% increase in price. Butter consumption, or sales I should say, are up 15%, but mostly that is exports. We are beginning to export from the United States a lot of butter. Milk prices in the United States, the class 3, which is the price for milk used to make cheese, last month was 40 cents. That translates into a 45-cent per kilogram price on average for dairy farms across the United States. We have a futures market for class 3 milk. And translating that again into farm milk prices, over the next year and a half, we're looking at a milk price that could be locked in by dairy farmers of between 50 and 52 cents per kilogram. So things look reasonably good. It looks like our milk prices will stay high enough to offset these higher feed prices that we're experiencing. So we're going into the remainder of 2008 with a good deal of confidence in the United States at this point.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. We move to Dambi and Kamerun. And is it so now that with the increased world market prices for milk and other products from agriculture, isn't that an opportunity for Africa to start to produce more and make money from the agricultural potential in all the African countries, or are there other problems?
Thank you very much, and thank all of you for taking part in this event. I would like to start by saying that the milk prices in Cameroon are actually high, above 50 US cents per liter, and in the year 2008 the price increased by about 20%, and combined with other food products it was also about 20% of increase. And this led to rioting in the country because food constitutes about 50% of the household expenses in an average family. So this was a very big change in the household income. So there were big riots in many big cities of the country, led to the death of more than 40 people. And the prices of milk are not really linked to oil prices as in other countries, but there is an indirect link because the transportation network is not very developed, and milk transportation depends on oil prices. So increasing oil prices means an increase in the dairy chain. Also, systems which depend more on feed have this increase in feed costs, which caused an increase in milk production, which has been transferred to consumers. And now consumers are the ones having the big problem. Now we look at how different consumers can react to this change, and we see that there are some consumers who are very poor and would react very fast to such changes. And the production in Cameroon depends very much on the consumption. It means once their prices grow so high and people are not willing to produce, then the systems which are mainly traditional systems that only sell milk depending on the market would reduce their production. So an increase in milk price would definitely lead to a reduction in production, and milk is also considered as one of the major components that can improve on nutrition in countries like Cameroon. So it's going to have a big effect on the dairy chain. And another class of consumers are the high-class consumers who may have nutritional desires to consume milk and would be able to give a higher price to the milk and wouldn't mind an increase in milk prices. So just a short statement, and thank you once more.
Thank you, Ndambi. And then we move to Brazil and Lorildo. And here we have a country that is, as far as we can understand, very well positioned. Cheap labor, a lot of land, fine climate, very good conditions for every agricultural production you can think of almost. Cheap energy, because you have got your own petrol and you've got your own hydropower. So what's holding back this golden situation in Brazil? Are you now expanding everywhere, or where are you?
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here and discuss this topic. I think it's very important, and once we can share it, we have to produce it here would be nice. Well, Brazil is, what I would say, has some flexibility concerning to produce milk, and also the ethanol, I think is on the topic here to be discussed, probably. And concerning the price of food, it's increasing everywhere. And I think the reasons were mentioned, that probably income is one of the components. And so our